Welcome to episode 6 of the CySA Plus Prepcast. Today, we're shifting gears from discussing the certification structure and exam day logistics to focusing on the essential cybersecurity foundations you need to build before diving deep into CySA Plus content. This episode is meant to give you a baseline checklist of knowledge areas and technical skills that will not only make your exam preparation smoother, but will also empower you to understand and retain more advanced cybersecurity concepts as you move forward. But let's begin with network fundamentals. Understanding how networks operate is one of the most important prerequisites for anyone pursuing cybersecurity. This includes knowledge of core protocols, such as transmission control protocol and internet protocol, domain name system, dynamic host configuration protocol, hypertext transfer protocol. These protocols form the backbone of digital communication, and your ability to understand how data moves across systems will determine how effectively you can recognize malicious activity or security anomalies. Beyond protocols, you should have a solid grasp of networking concepts such as subnetting, VLANs, IP addressing schemes, routing and switching basics, and common network services. These elements define how network segments are constructed, how traffic flows between them, and how access is controlled at a basic level. Cybersecurity work often involves protecting these components, identifying misconfigurations, and segmenting environments to reduce risk. If you lack comfort in these areas, revisiting foundational networking concepts is a critical first step in your preparation. Next, operating system proficiency is a must. You should be confident working within both Windows and Linux environments. This includes using command line interfaces, managing files and directories, reviewing logs, and understanding user and permission management. These tasks are part of daily cybersecurity operations, whether you're investigating an incident, reviewing access controls, or deploying tools to detect or mitigate threats. A solid grasp of system administration tasks in both operating systems ensures you're ready to investigate and resolve issues at the host level. A critical part of operating system familiarity is understanding structures like the Windows registry and Linux configuration directories. Many attacks involve manipulating or abusing system-level components. Being able to recognize unauthorized changes, identify suspicious scheduled tasks, or interpret configuration anomalies will dramatically improve your ability to respond to threats effectively. These are not optional skills. They are core parts of security operations and incident analysis. Understanding common vulnerabilities, threats, and risks is another area of foundational knowledge. You should be familiar with types of malware such as viruses, ransomware, worms, and trojans. You also need to understand how exploits work, including phishing, social engineering, and automated attacks. Recognizing how threats are deployed, delivered, and activated helps you know what to look for and how to prioritize defense strategies. Without this base, more complex topics like behavioral analytics or threat intelligence will feel disconnected. Deeper understanding of software and application layer vulnerabilities will also serve you well. You should be able to explain how and why vulnerabilities like buffer overflows, cross-site scripting, SQL injection, and privilege escalation occur. These concepts appear throughout the CySA Plus exam, and your ability to identify and prioritize them is directly related to the role of an analyst. Understanding how vulnerabilities are exploited and how they can be mitigated helps bridge the gap between theory and operational practice. Identity and access management, often abbreviated as IAM, is another core domain. You need to be comfortable with basic concepts like authentication versus authorization, password policies, multi-factor authentication, single sign-on, and least privilege principles. Understanding how users are granted access, how accounts are managed, and how access control models work forms the basis of protecting sensitive resources. Many exam questions tie back to IAM decisions, especially when investigating unauthorized access or improper configurations. Cryptographic literacy is another foundational area that cannot be overlooked. You should understand the basic differences between symmetric and asymmetric encryption, the role of hashing and integrity checks, how digital signatures work, and the purpose of public key infrastructure. It's also important to recognize algorithms like Advanced Encryption Standard and Revest Shamir-Adelman. While you don't need to perform complex math, you should clearly understand how these cryptographic tools support confidentiality, integrity, and authentication. Cybersecurity professionals must also understand the basic elements of endpoint security. This includes antivirus tools, endpoint detection and response platforms, host-based firewalls, and patch management systems. These components protect the individual systems within a network and are often the first to alert analysts of suspicious behavior. Understanding their capabilities, limitations, and configuration options will be essential for interpreting incidents and deploying effective mitigation strategies in both your studies and real-world roles. Finally, you need an introductory understanding of the major frameworks and standards used across the cybersecurity field. Familiarity with the NIST Cybersecurity Framework, the Center for Internet Security Controls, the ISO 27000 series, and the OWASP Top 10 list of application vulnerabilities provides a structured context for thinking about risk and prioritizing defenses. These frameworks are referenced directly and indirectly throughout the CySA Plus objectives, and your ability to speak their language gives you both exam and workplace credibility. In addition to their complexity and density, exercising credibility is undoubtedly one of the most powerful ways to increase hours of your individual time and decrease. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are more security courses on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. Another foundational area to understand before diving into CySA Plus studies is the structure and function of basic security operations. This includes key concepts such as log management, monitoring, alerting, and incident response processes. These are the day-to-day activities that define a security operations center. Being able to analyze logs, identify patterns, and escalate events appropriately requires familiarity with how events are collected, stored, and evaluated. Without this operational perspective, more complex CySA Plus topics, like SIM correlation or active threat hunting, will be harder to grasp. You should also become familiar with common security tools. Hands-on exposure to security information and event management platforms, packet capture tools like Wireshark, and vulnerability scanners such as Nessus or OpenVAS will help you better understand what analysts do on a daily basis. Even basic command line tools like Nmap or Netstat can help you develop intuition around port scanning, service enumeration, and initial threat discovery. These are skills that are not just tested on the exam, they're essential for real-world incident detection and response. Understanding the basics of threat intelligence is another important foundational skill. You should know what threat intelligence is, why it matters, and how threat feeds and reputation databases help analysts stay ahead of known attack patterns. Threat intelligence is used to enrich logs, prioritize alerts, and shape defensive actions. The CySA Plus exam includes content related to threat actors, indicators of compromise, and intelligence sharing, so understanding these principles in advance makes it easier to build expertise in later domains. Familiarity with scripting is a valuable technical asset when preparing for CySA Plus. You don't need to be a developer, but having basic skills in Python, PowerShell, or Bash will help you automate repetitive tasks and process large sets of security data. Whether it's parsing logs, searching for specific events, or conducting bulk analysis, scripting is often the tool that bridges the gap between manual investigation and scalable operations. Many CySA Plus performance-based questions reflect real scenarios where simple scripts would significantly reduce time to resolution. In addition to scripting, having a basic understanding of virtualization and cloud infrastructure is becoming increasingly important. Most organizations today rely on virtual machines, cloud-based storage, and cloud-native applications. Whether it's using VirtualBox to set up your own lab, or understanding how Amazon Web Services or Microsoft Azure organizes their security controls, cloud fluency broadens your ability to analyze modern systems. The CySA Plus exam includes questions related to cloud vulnerability assessments and tool usage in hybrid environments, making this area essential even at the foundational level. Business continuity and disaster recovery principles are also core knowledge areas to establish early. You should know what recovery time objectives and recovery point objectives are, how they relate to availability and data protection, and what role cybersecurity plays in maintaining operational resilience. These concepts come up in both the incident response and risk management portions of the exam. By grounding yourself in these fundamentals, you'll better understand how technical controls align with broader business requirements. Before you advance into the core CySA Plus content, it's helpful to have a high-level understanding of compliance requirements and regulatory frameworks. Knowing the basics of laws like the General Data Protection Regulation, the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, and the Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard will help you understand the legal and organizational pressures that shape cybersecurity policies. These frameworks are often tied to reporting, data protection, and breach response, all of which are covered on the exam. Security is not just about configuration. It also involves development practices. Having a general understanding of the software development lifecycle and secure coding principles will enhance your readiness to deal with topics like input validation, authentication failures, and secure session management. While you won't be asked to write code on the exam, understanding how insecure software design contributes to vulnerabilities will help you interpret findings and recommend mitigation strategies confidently. Don't overlook the importance of communication. Even though cybersecurity is a technical field, effective communication is critical for explaining risks, documenting findings, and coordinating incident response. You need to be able to communicate clearly with both technical and non-technical audiences. On the exam, this may appear in questions that assess your ability to create incident reports, interpret compliance needs, or present findings to stakeholders. Communication is also a key differentiator in your day-to-day job performance as a cybersecurity professional. Lastly, your success with CySA Plus depends heavily on your analytical mindset. The exam is built to test your ability to think critically, identify patterns, draw connections between data points, and make well-reasoned decisions. Developing these skills involves practicing scenarios, engaging in labs, and reflecting on case studies. Analysis isn't just about knowing what's happening. It's about interpreting why it's happening and what should be done about it. This is the mindset of a cybersecurity analyst, and it is the core of the CySA Plus exam. In conclusion, this episode has outlined the essential cybersecurity foundations you should master before starting your CySA Plus journey in earnest. By gaining confidence in networking, operating systems, threats, and vulnerabilities, IAM, cryptography, endpoint security, frameworks, tools, scripting, and cloud environments, you're setting the stage for deeper success. These core concepts are the building blocks of everything that follows. In the next episodes, we'll begin breaking down Domain 1 of the CySA Plus certification and walking through the specific objectives step by step. Stay with us and continue preparing with confidence. Thanks for listening. To learn more about cybersecurity, please visit baremetalcyber.com. There you will find best-selling books, videos, and even more free cybersecurity training courses. Please subscribe to the Prepcast and our various podcasts. And thanks for listening.